afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for a new edition of Panorama News, bringing you the latest in the worlds of politics, business and sports. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi, but first of all, let me wish you a very happy Eid. Let's watch the headlines and then I'll be right back with the news in full details. Muslim pilgrims from around the world gathered before dawn on Wednesday in the valley of Mount Arafat in Saudi Arabia for a day of prayer. Army concludes first stage of retribution for martyr operation. And Yemeni president returns to Aden after 6 months exile. Welcome back. Muslim pilgrims from around the world gathered before dawn on Wednesday in the valley of Mount Arafat in Saudi Arabia for a day of prayer that marks the peak of the annual Hajj pilgrimage. It was on this day, some 1,400 years ago, that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, delivered his final sermon from Mount Arafat during the Hajj, calling for equality for Muslims to unite. More details.
Around 2 million Muslims on Wednesday poured into the vast Saudi plain where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has given his final sermon for the peak of the Hajj pilgrimage. Many of the faithful from around the globe camped out at the foot of Mount Arafat, where they slept and prayed despite the scorching sun. Carrying umbrellas, they walked from dawn in massive crowds toward the slippery, rocky hill which is also known as Mount Mercy. The place is where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave his final sermon 14 centuries ago as led Muslims to Hajj. To organize the flow of pilgrims, security forces formed human chains along the roads of the vast Arafat plain. Along the way, volunteers handed out boxes of food and cold water bottles. For many pilgrims, Hajj is the spiritual highlight. Many reach Arafat by bus, while some walked from the holy city of Mecca about 15 kilometers away. Other pilgrims arrived from nearby Mina using the elevated Mashar railway, linking the holy sites of Arafat, Muzdalifah and Mina, a city where many pilgrims spent Tuesday night. After sunset on Wednesday, they will move to Muzdalifah. They will gather pedals for symbolic stoning of the devil ritual on Thursday, which is also known as Eid al-Adha, Feast of Sacrifice, marked by the world's more than 1.5 billion Muslims. This year's gathering is about the same size as last year's, with 1.4 million foreign pilgrims joining hundreds of thousands of Saudis and residents of the kingdom. Previously marked by stampede and fires that killed hundreds, the pilgrimage had been the largely incident-free for the past 9 years after safety improvements. The Hajj is among the 5 pillars of the Islam and is every capable Muslim must perform it at least once in a lifetime.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi congratulated Egyptian people on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. In a presidential statement, al-Sisi said that the feast is a symbol of sacrifice, which we all should do to achieve security and stability for our country. Marking the occasion, the president praised the Egyptian armed forces and policemen who are exerting their utmost effort and are sacrificing their lives to combat terrorism in Sinai. The president also hailed the achievement of the first phase of retribution for the martyr operation, which helped in undermining the threat of terrorism in North Sinai. Sisi called for completing the second stage of the operations with the same high combating efficiency to pave the way for the development of Sinai. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi issued a decree on Wednesday pardoning 100 youths. The youths were detained for violating protest law as well as humanitarian and sick cases. The armed forces announced the end of the first stage of the Operation Retribution for the Martyr carried out by the army and security forces in North Sinai. In a statement issued late on Tuesday, the Army said that the goals of Phase 1 of the operation were achieved. The statement added that the armed forces demolished several hideouts of the terrorists and eliminated many armored vehicles that were used by the terrorist elements. The statement confirmed that cooperation between the Army and police forces will continue in order to confront any terrorist threats. The armed forces also hailed the role that was played by Sinai residents during the 16 days of the military operation. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry expressed Egypt's concern over obstacles facing dialogue between Libya's factions. Egypt also criticized the international community's failure to provide guarantees to implement a political agreement reached last July on a national unity government. Shoukry made the statement during his meeting with Jeffrey Feltman, the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs. The meeting was held on the sidelines of Shoukry's visit to New York to attend the 70th session of the UN General Assembly. Spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Councillor Ahmed Abu Zaid, said that the meeting covered a number of regional issues, on top of which is the situation in Yemen, Syria, Libya, and the escalation of the Israeli violations in Al-Aqsa Mosque in the occupied Arab East Jerusalem. The European Union urged Libya's warring factions to grasp the opportunity of a new peace deal and promised